All right, let's talk about why everybody is quitting YouTube. People are coming out on the YouTube homepage saying, I'm leaving, I'm quitting. Why is this happening? What the hell is going on to content creators? And I think a lot of you watching this are actually interested in content creation, or at least the mind of a content creator, because I do get questions about it. And I think I have experienced over the last year and a half that I've been doing YouTube. I have experienced a lot of the ups and downs that come with content creation. So it's probably an opportune time to talk about this. And maybe if you're thinking about starting your own content, or maybe you're even doing your own content, you can resonate with some of the things that I'm about to say. So it's kind of interesting because content creation is a relatively new profession, even though content in the form of film and TV, these were always around for a long period of time. These were done by proper production teams and media companies, right? Whereas nowadays we have the TikToker, the Instagrammer, the YouTuber who has camera gear, mics, and things. He does the ideation, he does the filming, he does the editing, he does the planning, he receives the feedback. He's the director, the producer, the actor, all at once. And first of all, that in itself, is something that is not for everyone, and that it can take a toll on you as a creator, right? Because you are essentially a one-man operation. You're an entrepreneur all by yourself at the beginning when you start content creation. Then, of course, it's very smart, because the workload is so high. It's very smart to outsource some of the things and get help from other people, whether it's in the editing, whether it's in whatever else, right? But that's kind of like besides the point. Even though the sheer just repetitive workload of YouTube does lead in one sense to burnout, which is why a lot of creators seem to be quitting YouTube, right? But the bigger reason for burnout, because you see, burnout is a very interesting phenomenon, and I'm gonna say that burnout is usually more mental than physical, because your body can endure so much more than you think it can. And I experienced this in the military and boot camp and things. And your body, when it gets tired, just falls and just sleeps. But when your mind gives up, this is when you get to burnout, where the inner motivation kind of just disappears, and you don't have that drive anymore to continue. And you may have experienced it yourself, or you may have seen burnout in the eyes of another person, whether it's a friend or a sibling or a parent, where you just literally, you realize you cannot access that same little bit of fire inside them, and it's pretty damn severe. And it can wipe out creators. Now, why does burnout happen for creators? This, in my opinion, is due to the let's call it the unnatural scale at which feedback happens on social media. Okay? This just means the unnatural feedback loop, where you get massive spikes of validation and massive, what do you call it? Just valleys of devalidation. And whereas in a normal person's life, the validation and devalidation are pretty like smooth ripples, and this is healthy for human psyche. In the social media world, and especially for the life of the influencer or the content creator, this valley is larger and larger and larger. And your mind is almost being expanded in all these directions. And that's what over time causes the mental fatigue enough for you to say, hold on a second. Like, whoa, let me just take a break. I can't do this anymore. Right? So let's unpack that. There is actually another reason, which we'll get onto in the last part. But let's unpack this for now. So what do I mean by this ridiculous scale of feedbacks, right? So when my first video started being picked up by the YouTube algorithm. It was a video that I made about how I got lean and changed my body. And it was a very personal story. I really wasn't expecting a lot of views or anything, but it started taking off. And then a lot of other videos started taking off. And then everybody was saying, oh my God, you're amazing. You're the best thing. Like I love you, this and that. And then you used to get 100 views. Suddenly you get 10,000 views, 100,000 views. And I remember, just 2 years ago, I used to wake up to my YouTube videos having like 13 views, 48 views. And then one video got like 300 views. And I was so happy. Even though now I think about it, even being just happy because of the views is the wrong setup to begin with. But it's how every content creator starts, right? And because it's our metric for performance. And then when that bit of happiness that I felt at seeing 300 views was never surpassed, right? It like going from 10K to 20K was not even matched by that little bit of happiness that I got. So what is happening there? It's an interesting human psychology where we adapt to the new level of feedback, right? This is really important. And this, even if you're not a content creator watching this, you can see this, right? They say don't fly business class because you'll never be able to fly economy again, right? I don't fly business class, but you can see what that means, right? Because once you get used to that new level of lifestyle, then it's very hard to cut back down. Once you get used to that level of feedback and validation and people watching your stuff and telling how good you are, it's very hard for you to accept a lesser standard. So on the one hand, you get just stretched. A content creator who kind of grows, he gets stretched by this massive validation from his audience, especially with a viral video or whatever. So he gets adapted upward and expects that standard. And then when the subsequent thing doesn't do as well, or subsequent thing doesn't get enough attention, or isn't as nice as the business class, then we start to think, oh, it's my fault, or it's something's wrong, or it's bad. And the economy class or whatever, the thing that you really enjoyed, the thing that you were really grateful for, now becomes taken for granted and is seen in a negative light, right? And the same is true of the negative side of the equation. Right, you start to, when it goes down, you start to think, when you were getting no views, no attention, it didn't matter if nobody cared. But now, when you're used to it, if somebody watches your stuff less or doesn't, you start to take a bigger hit. So you have this greater ripple, greater wave, rather than a calm ripple. And the human psyche, the mental psyche, is not set up to digest this. Because if you look at the evolution of the human body and the human mind, for 99% of our history, we probably only dealt with 20 to 800 people in our life. Maybe 1,000. Maybe if you're Alexander the Great, you knew 1,000 people. I mean, you met probably more, but you maybe knew 1,000 max, right? You were known by many, but they didn't put likes on your Facebook page. They had no way of coming and giving you thumbs up, right? Alexander probably met maybe 200 people, 500 people per day. And that's Alexander the Great. So just a normal dude, everyday Hamish from the Scottish Highlands, didn't meet that many people. And he got feedback from certain people and and that was sufficient. That was enough, right? And you looked eye to eye, and the guy that gave you a thumbs down might fight you, but he was a real person in front of you, and the guy that gave you a thumbs up was also a real person. But instead now, even just any average person is socially connected all over the world. A tweet that you put out, or a Facebook post, or an Instagram story, or whatever, Instagram post, a YouTube video could get picked up by random people all over the world, and they have the freedom to give you feedback. Good or bad. So, and that's what causes these massive ups and downs, because you were never supposed to get that much feedback in that volume, in that short span of time, from that many people. So when you go through these massive scales, this causes this mental warping, and you get fatigued. You get fatigued because you're constantly trying to live up to a standard that you created for yourself. And at the same time, you're getting just smashed by these waves of like dopamine and happiness when people validate you, and then lack thereof when people devalidate you. And this cycle can get pretty toxic, as you might be able to imagine. There is also a third reason why people may quit YouTube, quit content creation, and one of the other reasons for burnout. And that is that the way the algorithm is set up, the way that YouTube is set up, is YouTube has the goal of getting as many people to watch your videos as possible and stay on the platform as long as possible, right? So they're not really caring about creators' well-being. This is why a lot of creators that have this little app called YouTube Studio that shows you how your videos performed, they say it's one of the most toxic apps like they have, because it always tells you like, your video was so crap compared to the last one, you need to do better. Your video ranked 10 out of 10 of your last 10 videos. You know, I mean, I deleted that app a long time ago. I don't even look at the metrics on my videos when most of the time, for this very reason. Like, why do I avoid it? Because I know of these spikes in dopamine and these downward trends. And I've literally told even my team, like, if a video does well, don't tell me. If a video doesn't do well, don't tell me. And then, you know, many weeks later, I do look at it and then I try to learn from it and things. But anyway, so the third reason burnout happens is because the way the algorithm is set up, it pushes you to be boxed into a niche. Okay, so if you're a fitness creator, they want you to keep creating fitness content so that people keep watching that content. Because let's say your fitness video did well, then it gathered a lot of the fitness loving audience. Then if you put out a different video, they may not like it. So if that doesn't do well in views, YouTube just suppresses it and doesn't show it, because YouTube also wants more customers to watch as long as possible. So they're not going to show the video if your subscribers don't like it, right? So the way the algorithm is set up is it makes you one-dimensional. This, I haven't seen anyone talk about this, right? But the way it's set up, it tries to make you one-dimensional. The fitness guy, the self-improvement guy, the funny guy, the Vine guy, the filmmaking guy. Because it's, and you can see why the algorithm, why YouTube does this, right? It's the whole idea of picking a niche. Like, it's not necessarily a bad idea in itself. But what it does is it ends up boxing in a lot of creators. Of course, there are exceptions that can jump out and be, you know, just themselves, but it does end up boxing a lot of us in. And if I just asked you watching this, what guy are you? Are you the fitness guy? Are you the the finance guy? Are you the Lego guy? Like, all of these labels will just be like, what the hell? Even if you love Lego and finance, like, you'd just be like, what? Maybe if you love both at the same time, and I just said that, you'd be like, okay, that's pretty accurate. But for most people, it'd be like, what are you talking about? That makes, like, I'm no guy. I'm a lot of different things. And so naturally, the person who's creating the content wants to create and show diverse parts of themselves and that is more real, right? You want to be more real. But because of the nature of the algorithm and all the things we just talked about until now, it kind of ends up boxing you in to be that one person. And over time, you start playing puppet master to the algorithm. You start playing as if the internet persona has puppet mastered you and you must now perform, right? It's like YouTube is now your boss saying, now perform, be the dancing monkey talking about fitness now on YouTube, you know? I know I sound a bit like a bit extreme right now. I know people might be like, just be free, just create whatever you want. And I agree with you, right? The courage to be authentic and the courage to create whatever it is that you feel creatively called to do. I think that's the healthiest for the creator. And I think more creators, including myself, we should aspire to do this. But it still doesn't change the fact that even the most conscious mind gets sucked into this mindset of playing the dancing monkey to the algorithm and so on, because you're boxed in to one side of who you are. And that pretty much explains why this channel exists, right? Because I am more than a fitness guy, so I make this channel. But even on this channel that was created with the spirit of pure, honest, authentic talk, right? One video started doing really well to my detriment, right? And I find myself thinking, oh, why aren't other videos doing as well as that one? Right? And trying to improve and maybe copy that one or whatever. So anyways, a long ramble, but this is some of the things that are going on in my mind. I think if you aren't a content creator, this may have just gone way over you and you're like, yeah, I'm not interested in this. But I think if you want to be a content creator, if you are already a YouTuber who's experienced this, then a lot of the things that I'm saying to you will probably resonate with you, right? And there are obviously solutions that we could talk about or advice that I would give to help in each of these situations. But I think the main topic of this video was more to just raise the issue, if you like. It's what I'm feeling. It's why I think a lot of people are quitting YouTube or deleting social media and all of these things, is because we are now becoming aware that this dynamic is not normal. This exaggerated feedback loops and mental health issues with content, it's not normal. It's almost like you started a job and no one told you in the job description about this little bit, and people are catching on. Maybe many people caught on before, but like anything, I think, you just become aware of these patterns, and even just me voicing it is probably going to help me be more courageous in my content creation on all of my channels and all the things that I do. So hope this video resonated with some of you. See you in the next one. Give me some video ideas, will you?